All right, hi everybody. I believe I'm live on both Instagram and YouTube. Hey Jen. It's easier for me to see like comments and who's joined on YouTube just because of the way my film is set up. But hi Jen, I did see you join on Instagram. And give me 1 second. I have two devices here, so I'm gonna view my Instagram live from a second device so I can try to kind of participate. All right. So I've joined the IG Live from a second Instagram page that I have called Writing with Tarot. So if anyone sees me interacting with you guys through that profile, it's still me. So today I decided I'm going to, uh-oh, it's saying it's having trouble loading. If anyone else is having issues viewing, let me know. Hello, Infinite Intelligence. So the last time I went live, I was working on the Mentor of Blades. I'm just going to adjust my second camera here. I was working on the Mentor of Blades, and she's basically done. So I'm going to just kind of show you guys like what I did since the last time I worked on this card, and then kind of show you where I am now with the next mentor, which is Mentor of Coins, which is the last queen. So I'm really excited. There's a little bit of a glare in the overhead camera, so I'm going to see if I can just figure out how I can adjust my brightness. So give me one moment, guys. I think that's a little bit better, but it's not that great. Let's see, because I can still see a glare like right there where I'm holding my, like where her butt is basically, but it's all right. So I'm gonna try and see if I can pull up the YouTube chat. Give me just a second. All right. Elemental Cartomancy and Tiny Trinkets and Tarot are here. Hello, thank you for joining me today. So, like I was saying, I left off working on the Queen of Swords, but I'm pretty sure she's done. Gosh, this glare is not working. Like, you can't see her. She looks so washed out. Oh gosh. You can't even see the background. Give me just a second, because it's not quite working for me. Let's see, I'm gonna lower this angle. Okay, I feel okay. You can see some of the clouds behind her now, at least a little bit. There we go. Okay, so there's still a glare from the light above me, but yeah, at least you can see some of the color coming from the screen. So, oh gosh, now I can't really see. This was so much easier the other day. I don't know what was making it so different. There we go. I think that's decent. So where I left off last time we were live together, I think was somewhere around here. Yeah, I know I had done a little bit of the shading on It Was Better Before Too Dark. Uh-oh. I'm on a significant delay on Instagram, so I'm not sure if it looks better now. Give me 1 second. Alright, let's see if I can adjust that angle. Alright, how's that? Hopefully that helps. still new to the live streaming thing, especially doing it on 2 platforms. But um, I left off basically here where I hadn't done much shading on the queen. I know I had added her lipstick, her eyes, you know, like the whites of her eyes, but that was basically it. There was no shading done. I had added the ruler, I believe, but obviously there have been some changes since then. So after that, I went ahead and finished rendering her skin with the shadows and highlights and everything. I added some flares to like show the reflection off of the swords, and a couple on her crown. Before, her crown was just a flat gray. And what time does your Kickstarter campaign launch today? It actually launches tomorrow, May 30th, which is my birthday. So I'll be 31 tomorrow, and that's when the Kickstarter campaign will launch. So I believe it'll be 7 a.m. Eastern time that it'll actually go live. And yeah, fingers crossed for me, guys. So in addition to adding some more dimension to it, looks good, T from the tarot, thank you, appreciate it. So in addition to shading like her skin, obviously I rendered her shoes a little bit more. I cleaned up the tattoo, and I think it's centered better now. And I just added some more dimension to the clouds that are in the foreground. So the base colors are the same, but I wanted the tops of the clouds to pop as a brighter value and have the bottom be a little bit darker. And I wound up shading with a sort of dark gray, but I set the layer that I put that shadow onto a color burn, and now it's really blue. You're quite welcome, and oh, thank you, Asia. Thank you, T from the Tarot. I appreciate all the happy birthdays coming in. So yeah, I think this queen is looking decent. I normally play with the curves, which is this adjustment menu here. It says curves, and it just kind of looks like, oh, it won't show it because I'm on a hidden layer. But it, let's see. As a matter of fact, I'll select this layer because it's just a duplicate of the whole canvas. Let's see, I'm gonna turn this stuff off and just kind of play with the curves like I normally do. I don't think I'm gonna keep any edits because I really like how this has turned out, but you know, why not? So curves is a really interesting digital art tool because over here where it's like the top of this slope, that's like your lighter values, and the further over to the left you get, it's your darker values. And then you can separate the channel into the gamma, which is basically like the light or the brightness is how I've come to understand it, and then red, green, and blue. And this graph will kind of show you like how much of each color is already in your composition, which is really helpful if you're trying to go for a specific mood but you're not quite confident with the colors that you've picked. This deck will absolutely be funded and then some. I hope so, because the deck is actually going to be printed on frosted, like transparent plastic cardstock, so that makes the cost go up just a little bit. And I know, like, I've seen campaigns that ask for, you know, relatively small amounts, and I just don't want anyone to see like the fundraising goal and be like, oh gosh, you know. So I tried to be as conservative as possible given like the labor put in and the labor to be put in and all of that. So fingers crossed, I'm hoping for a good campaign. But normally when I finish a painting and I've, like, you know, got everything laid down how I wanted, it looks good. You guys might notice I actually did end up adding a feather back into the composition. On one of my previous lives, I was talking about how I initially had a rough draft of this card where there were feathers scattered all over the bottom, but I wound up just adding one, and I think that really worked. And normally once I feel like a composition is done, I'll play with the curves just to kind of see what other possibilities there are. So let's see, right now it's on gamma. I don't think I need to brighten anything up. But if I did, that's how I could do it. Or I could go the reverse and darken some things if I wanted them to be like really saturated. And the cool thing about this curve is you can actually like add more points to get really specific. So it's not a straight line, and now you can see what it did to the highlights and the shadows. It's much more apparent in person because it looks very washed out on the screen. But like if I do the preview, you'll see this is what it looks like now. And again, it's quite washed out from you guys' view, but with the changes I made, there's much more contrast. But in real life, it looks sort of garish, like there's too much contrast, and the highlights hitting her skin look very, very yellow. It doesn't look as smooth as it does on screen. So you know, something fun to play with, but I'm gonna hit cancel and just kind of get out of that. Another way you can play with a composition after it's done is to play with the color balance or the hue, saturation, and brightness. It can be a good practice to just sort of saturate stuff a little bit more, because it's gonna, in my case, go to print at some point, and I'm used to looking at all my art through light, you know, a screen emitting light into my eyes, and it looks different when it's on paper and it's got ink. So adding a little more saturation is normally a decent idea. It kind of does a similar thing as to what I was playing with the values in the gamma channel of the curves, but it's a lot more simple. So I'm just going to apply that and leave that there as an option. I still like my original painting. I don't think it looks too desaturated, but if I want to send a more saturated version to print, I have that there as well. So yeah, finished that queen, and I put a layer mask on to give her the shape of the card. And then I have a group of layers here that create up the title, and a gold border that would represent the edge of the card. So that's sort of how I do my mock-ups. Got some comments in the YouTube chat. Let's see. People are willing to pay for quality, especially indie decks. I hope so. I appreciate it. I know I do, because I don't want to even count how much money I've spent on indie decks. So I know I do. I'll leave it at that. Elemental Cartomancy says, ooh, transparent plastic card, did you say? I don't think I've heard of that before. Are there any other decks anyone knows with the stock? As far as I'm aware, I have not seen that on a tarot deck before. I have a pack of playing cards that I got from my manufacturer to test out that transparent plastic, and they look really, really cool stacked up. But I know if you Google like transparent business cards, that's kind of where I got the idea from. So that might point you into the right direction. Tiny Trinkets and Tarot says the Transparent Tarot by Emily Carding, but that deck isn't frosted transparent cardstock. I'm interested to see what this is. I love the darker cloud color, so pretty, says Mystic. Thank you. Tiny Trinkets and Tarot says, I'm loving that you are sharing this creation process. I'm not versed in digital art, but I'm really enjoying learning. Thank you. That's actually kind of how I got into it, was I kind of stumbled across some YouTube videos of people just showing their art process, and I was like, that looks so cool, I want to do it. So that's how I got into it. Got some more folks in the Instagram live. Jada K Story has joined. My baby's arm joined. Thank you guys for hanging out with me. Just talking about the finished Mentor of Blades right now, and responding to some chats in the YouTube live. I'm also live on YouTube, so if you have a preferred platform, you can definitely hang out with me. But yeah, so that's how I do my mock-ups, and still got my little reference window here, but I don't think I need that anymore, so I will turn that off and head back out to my gallery. So I showed you guys a very rough version of the Queen of Pentacles, or the Mentor of Coins, in that Afro Drip Tarot. But oh gosh, am I frozen on Instagram Live? Because I feel like I'm not seeing myself in this video. I'm gonna exit out of that and come back and just... Oh no. So I have a little like test camera here to, like, not camera, but another phone to like see the live, and it is not loading for me, so I hope anyone else watching is able to still see me. I'm gonna keep going, but that's a little bit concerning, and I'm upset. Oh man, okay. But I showed you guys a rougher version of the Queen of Coins, and right now, she's come very, very far from the concept that I made when it was just a rough sketch. It came along beautifully, says Natural Queen. Thank you. Okay, thanks, Shaniqua. I'll Google it. Oh, you're welcome, Elemental Cartomancy. I definitely, I found it like on business cards first, so that'll probably help. So I did this like character sheet for all the queens where I wanted to decide their main color and their shape language, which is sort of out of the norm for my workflow, but it really helped to generate ideas for like what would make them cohesive as a group, but also set them apart so they would be individuals. And having this to start with gave me like sort of a jump start on that rough sketch process. So I have gotten quite a bit done on the Mentor of Coins. I think I clocked about 8 hours on this piece yesterday, and I was so tired. I was just like, oh gosh, I need to lay down. Let's see, I'm gonna try to join my live again. It is not joining for me. That is really, really sad. Let me check and see here. What software is this? This is Procreate. So I'm gonna actually show you guys like the replay of what I did on this canvas. Procreate has a really cool feature where it screen records all of your canvases by default. And I'm just gonna come over here to video and touch time-lapse replay, and it'll show the canvas from the very beginning, and you can control the speed with your finger. I do wish they had actual controls like play, pause, and like the speed and stuff, but this is basically what we have to work with. So yeah, first I loaded in just that character sheet and then started doing a rough sketch over top of it to sort of decide the perspective of the throne and sort of lay out where her features would be. I was using the wrong brush here, and I fixed it like after I had done all of this. So here I'm just kind of figuring out her pose. And I decided to make the tree a willow tree, like a grandmother willow tree. I think they're called weeping willows. I always call them grandmother willows from Pocahontas. The colors on her dress are beautiful. Thank you. I wanted to put like a lot of green, obviously, but like varying states of vegetation, if that makes sense. And I try to, evoke that. So I'm glad you like it. Just when I thought I couldn't be more excited about this project, I learned of the frosted transparent cardstock. This is so exciting. Thank you. And yeah, it's only going to show the transparency really on like that 1/4 inch border. So between the art and the gold edges, it'll be that frosted like transparency. So when you actually lay it down on your reading cloths and whatnot, I want it to look like a floating border with the gold against that transparency. So hopefully it'll be cool. So yeah, after I liked where I was going with this sketch, I shrank it down a little bit so you can see she kind of jumps back so that it fits better within that black frame that I used to account for the part of the cardstock that's going to be cut. And then I shrank down my little rough sketch so I could use it as like a color palette that I could easily pick from. Started playing with the background, added some water, and then the leaves that are, or I don't know, what would you call that part of the willow tree? The leaves, I guess, that hang down behind the actual trunk of the tree. Colored in the trunk of the tree and then colored in some leaves in the foreground. Started coloring her in, and I've started to do this thing where I'll have a rough sketch and then I'll block in rough colors, but the colors dictate the final sketch. So that'll make more sense as I move forward. I'm playing with her dress, adding in a gradient and adding in some flowers in the foreground. I actually think she looks kind of cute with no hair. But I had turned off my lines so I could make cleaner line art. And I think it was around here, I decided she's going to have some cornrows. I sort of refined her face a bit. But it was right around here I decided I didn't like this arm. I'm playing with the crown. Okay, so now I'm cleaning up the lines, giving her like some folds and whatnot. This is really unique. I've never seen a deck do that before. That was what I was going for, so that makes me happy that you say that. You should do more of these types of videos. This is really nice. That's the goal. I want to start streaming at least a few times a week. I think that would be really fun because I love to draw, obviously, but I really like being able to make it interactive with you guys. All right. So okay. So I didn't do it this way. Okay, so I used the initial rough colors to kind of make my rough sketch, but when I was doing my cleaner sketch, I decided I didn't like the position of this arm, and I felt like it just looked a little too long and stretched out. It didn't look natural to me, so I just decided to change it, and I like the position of that arm much better. And I'm just gonna let it play for a second because okay, so I'm like refining the silhouette because I'm using a clipping mask for her dress, and then I play with different crown designs. I'm not fully set on this one, but I think I'm gonna go with a circlet or something like that. I think that's what you call those. I'm refining her facial features some more, and I think this is where I left off, where I was just trying to get the lines right for the actual details of her cornrows. And yep, that's where I am now. My daughter's sending me messages in iMessage, so I'm gonna turn the brightness up just a little bit because I cannot see. So I hope it's not too washed out. I'm gonna try and check the Instagram connection one more time. Yeah, it still says there's trouble loading that video, so yeah, and I think the creation design process is so interesting. Oh, thank you, Aunt. So yeah, it won't let me wave at like the viewers. I'm really sad, but I think I might have to shut down the Instagram live because it's not functioning. So give me 1 second, guys. Okay, so I'm back live on Instagram. Hopefully that connection stays stable, but I'm just gonna go ahead and start drawing. Let's see. I love the tree of life on the coin instead of a pentacle. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. You should do more. That's really unique. Never seen these. Okay, I think I'm caught up on the comments. So I'm gonna... You know what? I'm just gonna pray that my Instagram live is functioning and not stress about it because it's trying to stress me and I don't want to be stressed. I just don't want to be stressed. So I'm gonna jump back to where I was working yesterday and let you guys hang out with me while I draw. It is very difficult to figure out cornrows, like their proper placement and everything. So wish me luck. I normally do sort of a back and forth like hatch like that and just make it bigger as I go. but it's hard to account for the side stitches. This works better for like a flat braid, but I'll see if it'll work for this one. And then once I do those little hatches, I just sort of like curve the edges essentially. So see like how it doesn't quite jive there. Whenever I draw braids, it is a lot of like drawing and redrawing over and over. Cause yeah. Okay, I don't quite like that. So I'm gonna go back to what I was doing before. Since we can see a lot of the side of her cornrows, I started these braids by just kind of curving these sections upward and then sort of emphasizing the zigzag that's created. I don't know if that makes sense, but I hope that comes through. And I'm just now noticing I did this section like too high, although I don't want to keep this hairline that I did with the color blocking, so I may leave it. I don't know. But let's see we got teeny tiny little sections coming up like so. They would be on an angle and they would curve down like that. I hope you guys can hear the music, and I hope you like it. And I hope I offend no one with my little pretend UK accent. Sometimes I just like slip into it. Don't judge me. I think that actually looks decent there, so I'm gonna erase my little guideline. Oh, and you know what? I just realized I did not start my little timer. What time is it? It's almost 1. I actually planned for this stream to be a bit longer, so I'm gonna go until about 2:30 or so. And I'm probably just like over stressing with this like the accuracy of her cornrows, because it's gonna be a very small detail when it's all said and done, but I can't like knowingly not get it right. Okay. It's not technically very accurate. It doesn't have that overlapped look to it. I'm not loving that braid, but I'm not gonna push it too much. Like I said, it's gonna be so small. I think those will go, yeah. something like that. I should have done these braids on an entirely separate layer. But I still can, so I'm not gonna stress about it. This has a copy and paste function built into the selection tool, but I don't want to copy and paste. I want to cut and paste. So I'm going to swipe down with 3 fingers to bring up my copy and paste menu. And I'm going to cut and paste. So now the color changed because it's going to default to a normal layer blending mode. And I was drawing on a multiply blending mode. So I'm just going to change that back to multiply here. But now I have my braids separated from everything else that makes up the line art for like her dress and her body, and that's just going to give me a little bit of peace of mind that if I mess up something up here and I need to erase, I can do that without having to erase, you know, her. So that's why I separate my layers like that sometimes. And I'm noticing here this braid section is not making sense, which again is just me being anal, because I don't think it would really stand out once the card is printed, but I just didn't like what I was seeing. Okay. Oh, and I don't know if I mentioned, but the deck is also going to have spot UV gloss accents. So, like the swords in the sword suit are going to have a glossy texture as compared to the rest of the art. So, that's another element that the deck will have. I know that feeling of when you're doing something, it has to meet your standards even when others say it's great. Yeah, that's absolutely true. That's absolutely true. Because someone else could be praising what I'm doing, and if I don't like it, I will pout. I will literally sit there and pout and be like, but it's not right. Gosh, I'll be 31 tomorrow, guys. 31. And I still feel like a great big old kid. Like, I know I am a grown-up because I have a baby and I'm responsible for her and all that good stuff, but like, I'm also very silly and playful and whatnot, and it's just like, 31? Who said? But that could also be a Gemini thing, because Geminis in general are very playful and childlike. I mean, we are a sign of the twins, so that eternal playmate. I actually like the detail up there. I kind of want to move this section like down more. I'm gonna turn off her hair if I can find it. Yeah, that doesn't look right to me as far as her hairline. So I'm going to see if Liquify can help me out. Make my size a bit smaller so I have more control. I think that looks better. I kind of want to bring this down some more though. I'm going to switch to expand just to make that a bit bigger. Yeah, I think that looks much better. Expand that just a teensy bit. Yeah, I like that. Expand that a bit. Yep. Okay, I'm gonna come back to push and just account for that curvature of her hairline, and then I think we might be good to go. I'm gonna make this a little bit bigger so I don't have to distort it so much. Okay, I think I like that. I'm going to... I can't really see the edge of that braid. And I kind of feel like this braid is coming out too far and that one is not coming out enough. So I'm going to use these two little sections to try and shrink one braid and make another slightly larger, just so there's more distinction between the two of them. Okay, I know it's probably harder for y'all to see, but I think that's a better shape than what I had going on before. I'm just gonna come down that way. Okay, so I think I can work with that. Now I plan to have, turn her hair back on, just a couple of the, or actually just one braid coming forward. So it'll be this one here on the edge, and then we'll see like these first 2 or 3 braids hanging behind her. I want them to be quite long, so you will see a little bit of the braid pattern down here. But that's basically all I have to draw. So to give me sort of a guideline, I'm gonna put a new layer underneath, and I'm basically just gonna kind of trace the path that the braid would follow and make it about the thickness that I want the braid to be. Just so now I have little areas that I can draw the braid into. So this is gonna come down basically straight. It's gonna come a little bit behind her head because it's coming off of her head. So that'll be that one. This one is sort of behind her, so it'll overlap there. So it'll be kind of like half the braid. And then that one comes here. Wait, hold on. Boom, back of the head, curve down like that. So it'll be about there, like right next to the edge of the second one. So I'm gonna erase that line and just indicate that they'll be right next to each other. So I hope y'all can see that. I just put these two lines very, very close together to indicate one braid. This is going to be one braid hidden behind that one. So basically I'll indicate 3 right there. And let me see, am I gonna indicate that one? I can use this space between her neck and the next braid to indicate one here. And let's see, just gonna kind of boom, boom. So yeah, it wouldn't actually come, well, actually her back is gonna kind of curve out a little bit right there. So I can indicate like 2.5 braids down here, like what I had in the color block. All right, so I've got my braid guidelines, and I'm just gonna lower that opacity. As a matter of fact, I'm going to turn on this layer filled with white because it's set to a low transparency. That way I can still see all the shapes of the colors that I've put on the canvas down right now, but the layers that I'm drawing on are above that, so I have much better contrast and I can see it much better. All right. So I'm going to turn down the opacity of my little guideline layer and come back up to my braid layer. And I'm just going to use this. Some people will zigzag when they make braids and then just kind of like, bump all the edges out. To me, that doesn't look like a braid. So I do, like I said, the little half hashes where they overlap and go to the edge of my guidelines, and try to just make them about the same length, and just keep that going down. That kind of already looks like a braid to me, like with the guidelines. Let me make sure I'm on the right layer. Yeah, I am. Okay. That kind of already looks like a braid. But the finishing touch to me is when you add the curves. So I've got this indication up here of the sections of the braid, right? Now I just have to curve them out and connect them. And hopefully now you can kind of see why I put the hair on a separate layer. Part of it is overlapping what I've already drawn on her body. If I had to erase that to make cohesive line art, I'd have to be really meticulous, which isn't impossible, but it's kind of a headache. I don't have to do that now. I cannot believe I'm launching my deck tomorrow. Like, I can, but at the same time, it's like, what? Oh, that's part of her dress. I was like, what am I looking at? Okay. All right. So that's one braid done. I'm going to turn off the little guideline layer that I made, and hopefully y'all can see how I think that's a bit more realistic than like a lot of people will do just like a bunch of upside down hearts, which, can look like a braid, sort of. Or like I said, they'll, make their sections and then do a zigzag all the way to the edge and then just kind of like bump out those sections, which, it doesn't look horrible. It doesn't look like a braid to me necessarily. But any method that works for you works. So there's multiple ways you can make braids. But that is the way that I like. So I'm gonna move on to another section. And what I'm actually going to do up here, since I'm going to have, and I'm actually going to do it down here as well, since I'm going to have 3 braids kind of overlapping, is I'm going to use the longest space to create just a braid pattern, and then I'm going to use my digital art tools to duplicate that to indicate the other braids. Thank you, Mystic. Mystic said, I'm so happy for you and hope to see more Black deck creators. There is definitely a market for you. I definitely appreciate that. Definitely appreciate it. All right, so gonna do that little, gonna do that hash where it's just sort of each hash mark touches like in the midway point of the next, and then they go down to the edges of the guideline, and they're just at like a 45-degree angle. Okay, I'm actually gonna erase this top one. I don't like it. There we go. Okay. Do I want to finish the braid? Yeah, I'm gonna finish the braid before I duplicate it. Alright, so that would go like that and that. I'm drawing past her ear to make sure I have like the curve right for the braid sections that I'm indicating. Alright, and then just finish my braid by connecting those edges. So you see I drew behind her ear so I would know about where that curve should start. I could have eyeballed it and guessed it, but I think it just looks more consistent that way. Alright, so I think this is a decent section of braid. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to select this portion and I'm going to copy and paste it. So now I've got the braid by itself on one layer. I'm going to duplicate that a few times. And then I'm just going to start moving my little duplicated sections to line up with the other guidelines that I had made. And you can even like flip it so it, you know, looks more organic and doesn't line up perfectly. That's not what we want. There we go. I think that looks good. I'm going to grab another duplicated section and move that to be that braid. Boom. All right. And I have 2 more duplications that I'm going to use for the braids down here hanging behind her back. So I'm going to move one. And because braids do get, you know, smaller as they go down, I'm going to use my freeform mode to just sort of narrow that section. And position it about there. And grab my last duplication, bring it down. Definitely doesn't have to be perfect. I'm just gonna stick it like right there. And coming back over here, I know I would see another section of braid coming up there, so I'm just gonna add it. All right, so now she looks a little bit crazy because she's got all these extra braids just sticking out of nowhere, right? So to fix that, excuse me, to fix that, I'm just gonna erase out the portions that I don't need. And then I'm going to merge all of these extra sections downward. So starting off with the first one, I don't need any of this that's overlapping the first braid, right? So how can I make them more visually distinct from each other? First, I'm gonna bring up this white so I'm not distracted by the colors. Then I'm going to I'm gonna give this one a new color. So I'm gonna alpha lock it. I'm just gonna jump to harmony to get something different. I'm gonna turn this blue for the time being. Oh, you know what? I'm on the wrong one. I turned that one blue. Haha. Alright, undo that. Let me see, what layer am I on? This one. Here we go. Alpha lock that one. Fill it. And now it's blue for the time being. Okay. So now I'm going to use that visual distinction to help me just erase out anything that wouldn't show. So this is behind her ear. This is up behind this braid. So none of that would be showing. Okay, this is coming down behind the ear, so I'm going to leave that. But all of this over here is hidden behind that braid. So I'm going to erase that. It's all coming down behind her clothes, her body, so none of that would show. And now we have the indications for that braid. I'm going to switch back to the color I was using for the lines. And I'm going to fill that layer. Boom. Now I'm going to erase the portions of her braid that are sitting here behind her ear. We don't need that. Okay. Now I'm going to turn on the next braid. Come back to my bright blue. Alpha lock it. Fill it with that color. And then erase the portions I do not need. As a matter of fact, just to be faster, I don't need that. Don't need anything that's behind that braid. Don't need anything showing on her neck. You gotta bring this around to close it. And now I have a selection mask that's gonna make sure I don't erase anything that I intended to keep, but I get rid of everything that I did. Okay, and I'm going to fill it with my previous color. And those look like they're working well to me. I need to erase just a little bit right here. Oh no, that's part of my guideline. Okay. Gonna merge those down to the hair. Alright, now I've got this braid here coming from behind her back. So I'm going to erase the parts of it that would not show. Ooh. Forgot it's alpha locked. I don't want to do that. Alright, I think that looks good. And then here is the last one. I just hit the mic. So I'm sorry if that was super loud on anybody. And I think it'll be faster to just make my brush real big for this one. Alright, I think that is about it. Let's see. Turned off my little guidelines. I like it. Okay. Now obviously there's parts of her that I could erase. Let's see, merge her down. Oh, something, okay, let's merge her down. Okay, now we got all the hair on one layer. I'm gonna delete my little guideline layer and just clean up her ear because it was disappearing, and her eyes. Ooh, Jesus! Not what I meant to do. Okay. I think she's looking decent. I really like her face. Alright, so I'm going to turn the lines on for her hair. I'm going to... Do I want to combine them or do I want to mask her body? No, I'm gonna keep them separate. That's gonna make it easier for me. So I want to put more. I'm gonna scoot my mic back just a little bit because that's like the second time I hit it and I don't want to annoy anybody. I'm gonna grab liquify one more time because I like the sort of the distinction of the braids over here, I feel like it gets lost on this side. So let's see. Let's see if I make it real small. Okay, that looks slightly more distinct to me. Okay, and then I think I can just fix that by drawing in a better line. Okay, that looks more distinct to me. Oh man, she's so pretty to me. Now, about her crown though. That's the question. I like the idea of that, right? It's just I don't know. Like part of me kind of wants to do something like that. I don't know. I want her crown to be a bit different. Okay, maybe we can figure out the crown a bit later. See, she's got a little bunny down here as well. I have not done line art for the tree. I've done some inner details, but no outer line art. I just kind of don't know if I want to or if I need to because I've got so many layers of the willow leaves blocking these upper branches. I don't know if I want to do a whole line or like little tiny hatch lines to give it a firmer silhouette. I'm just not sure. So since I'm not sure, I'm going to jump to another area of the painting. Let's play with the water. Okay. I've got a couple of clipping masks on this water already that indicate more land masses because in the Rider-Waite-Smith Queen of Pentacles, there's a little like river thing happening back here that's split by more land mass that I wanted to sort of harken back to and give a little shout out to. What about a crown like what you have and jewels and gold hanging off of it like traditional royalty? I did think about that. Let's get that smaller. I think the main thing is like, if I do that, where do I want to have the jewels hanging from? Because I don't want anything to obscure her vision. This is a Capricorn card, so she ain't gonna let nothing obscure her vision. But I could, because in the Rider-Waite-Smith, her dress is red, but I didn't want so much red on my card. I could put some red jewels up on her, like hanging in like little scallop shapes in this circlet thing. It's an option. I will think about it. So I'm going to grab the color of my water. And then I'm gonna brighten it up. I think I'm gonna remove some of the cyan, maybe even add a little yellow to this light color, because it's gonna reflect, if it reflects the sky as I've painted it, this sky is much greener than our sky. But I want to give some reflection to the water, so I'm just gonna play with some brush strokes with the layer set to addition mode, which is really good for light. And let's just see what we get. I'm gonna switch to a random brush that I have no like attachment to, because I find that when I do that, it like mentally gives me permission to sort of play. That looks nothing like reflections on water, but I'm having fun playing, so I'm gonna keep doing that. Now, I do kind of like it like that. That looks like those big sort of, I want to say splotchy light reflections, but I do kind of like it like that. What is that, a 7% Gaussian blur? I'm gonna drop it down to 6%, and then I'm gonna add just a teensy bit of a motion blur to it. Okay, I said teensy bit, but then I went up to 18%. But I do like that. That little double tap feature is so temperamental. I want to give the water some shadows. So it's sort of giving me effect I want, but not really. Let's see, I set it to multiply. I think linear burn is slightly better, but see, I'm gonna give the shadows a bit more blur. Six and 7 seem to be the magical numbers. Alright, so these were like playing layers, exploration layers. I do like them. I'm gonna leave them for now because I feel like they're communicating what I wanted them to communicate. Now her throne. I need to lighten the area that she's actually sitting on. So there's a couple ways I could do that, but I'm gonna use a clipping mask. And I'm gonna set it to overlay. And I'm gonna pick the color of this sky just because it's quite bright. And it sort of matches part of what her dress has, which would be some of the color that would appear in like the ambient light around her. And I'm gonna grab an airbrush. I have so many brushes. And it's gonna be soft because it's basically in the shadow. But I want to lighten up the part of the chair that she's actually sitting on. Okay, so that sort of works. It does give me that, but it's too green. That is too green. Maybe at a lower opacity. It's not terrible. Oh, my neck hurts. Oh wow, it's already 1:30. I don't like this. Okay, let's change the hue. Alright, that looks much better. It's very warm. Alright. Ironically, I slid the hue slider into the green section, but I know that's not the color it is now. So let's see what color is it now. Let's set it to normal. I don't know that we're gonna get the pure color it got changed to here, but can't hurt to try. Okay. So now I'm just gonna keep indicating like the portions of the tree that are higher up to give it some form, some dimension. What a difference. Dun, 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 dun. Even though it's going to be very subtle, I'm going to indicate the light that would hit the top portions of the branches. Very, very subtle because they're so obscure, you know. It's like it should really be hidden, but I'm not going for super realism. I'm going for something, you know, evocative. Already that looks like it's popping so much more to me. I love that. It's amazing how like when you just play with light, you know, it just makes such a difference. I'm going to erase out just a little bit of the light on the edge here, just because I want it to be a bit gradual, and it'll help kind of highlight her. To me, that looks more like light is kind of coming down and hitting her, so I like that. Oh, she needs some contact shadows, but I'm not gonna get ahead of myself. But oh, she needs some contact shadows. She looks so like a paper doll just stuck on something. Sorry, guys. Okay. I quite like that. I need a reference photo for the bunny because I just plopped some color down in a shape that I thought looked like a bunny and left it at that. I do think she's coming along in a very pretty way. Ooh, she's pretty. I can tell this card is going to be very pretty when it's all said and done. Okay, so I'm gonna keep working on the tree. I don't want to say a trick, but something that I do to give the trees more dimension is I'm gonna duplicate the layer with the lines, and then I have not set a shadow color for this composition. I feel like my shadows are going to be quite blue. Even though this is very green, I feel like it's my intuition, my artist intuition is telling me the shadows are going to be quite blue for whatever reason. So, let me see. Maybe because the light is so yellow. That's why. Even though that's not truly blue, that's more like periwinkle, but I think I can work with that. So I'm going to touch this color and alpha lock the duplicated layer of the lines on the tree and fill it with that shadow color that I selected. And before I even forget, so I don't forget, I'm going to turn on my little color palette layer and just put my shadow color there so that I have it, and switch back to that color and put my light color there as well, just so again I have them whenever I need them. Switch back to my shadow color. All right, so I was showing how I add depth and dimension to the lines on the tree. So I turned this into my shadow color. It is set to multiply, but what I'm going to do is actually blur these lines. You probably won't even really be able to see much of an effect, but yeah, there we go. All right. So at about 2%, you can start to see it. I'm going to leave it at about 3. And then I'm going to duplicate that. I'm going to combine those two layers. And I'm going to blur it just a little bit more. Like 1%. That's good enough. Duplicate it. Combine it down. And then I'm going to touch the layer of the original lines. So now it's my active layer. I'm going to open up my context menu and hit select. So it selects the layer contents, right? And then I'm going to come back down to my duplicated layer. Somehow I changed my line color, but that's okay. I'll change that back. And, oh wait, my selection mask isn't on. Okay, sorry. Gonna select those layer contents. Ah, it was on color fill, that's why. Okay, but I'll change that back. And then I'm gonna come down here and I'm going to clear. So I need to come back up here. This was one of my regular line art layers, I believe. Let's fill that. So I'm gonna reduce the opacity here, but basically it put a little shadow around all the lines on that tree. And then I'm going to grab my light color that I used to indicate the part where she's sitting, and I think I'm gonna set this one to soft light, but I'll play with the blending mode just to see what I like. And sticking to my airbrush, basically like I'm gonna kind of make the sections between those shadows pop out a little bit more. This part is definitely like not required, and you don't want it to be like even if you're emulating this effect, because you want to show texture in the actual like trunk of the tree, you know. That's too wide there. I need it to be a little bit smaller. Let's see if I can get my boyfriend to take me out to eat tonight. I know he probably wants to do something tomorrow for my birthday, but if I just say, baby, please, he might. I want this section to sort of protrude a little more. It just gives the trunk, like the wood, like more of an uneven look to me when there's sections that are like clearly meant to sort of stand out more, and others that are, you know, more shrunken in. It just looks more like a tree. And so I just keep playing until I have an effect that I'm happy with. Let's see. I think some of the lines are just, they weigh too much. They're too thick up in some areas. So I'm just going to thin them out a little bit. And by doing so, I'm going to put more like organic energy into the lines, because they're not going to be perfectly even anymore. So I think that'll actually help as well. Yeah, I think that looks better, because they were just, it was too thick. Okay, what do you guys think of the tree? I think it's looking decent, but I want to put some more layers of shadows and highlights. All right, I'm gonna grab my shadow color, and up on top of everything, I'm gonna do another clipping mask, and I see, I'm gonna just do this like really, really rough, So I'm gonna grab my gouache brush and just kind of like pop in some shadows. Oh, this is rough, but it's okay. Alright, that's, like I said, very rough, but I think it'll do for now. So I'm gonna blur that. That looks decent to me. And play with some blending modes to make some shadows. And now I'm going to use my smudge brush to apply a little bit more control to those shadows. But I actually think that looks pretty decent. I need to change. I'll use my round render brush. Just make it a bit bigger. I think I like what the tree is doing right now. I'm gonna smudge the highlight on this chair just a little bit. Man, I'm liking this card so far. I know why she bothers me though, because it looks like light is coming down like almost through the top of the tree, and she's so flat that like she doesn't belong in the environment anymore. But it's okay. I have so much to do. I gotta add texture to the grass. I gotta clean up the line art here and indicate these flowers. Let's see, let's play with the flowers a little bit. I'm gonna jump to that layer. And I have a flower brush pack that I like to use. Oh, if I can find it. I have so many brushes. Here we go. I want these to be like tulips. Let's see, that looks like a rose. That could work. It's not a tulip, but it could work. Another rose. I don't quite like any of these for what I want to do, but I also don't want to draw a bajillion tulips either. I really don't. Let's see what these look like. I don't quite like that. Perhaps I should worry about the flowers later. I almost want to start rendering the queen herself. Let's play with her hair. Let's do that. Because I feel indecisive, and whenever I feel that way, the art suffers. I'm hungry too. What should I order to eat, guys? Do I want tacos? Do I want a burger? Do I want some pizza? I don't know. Thank you. Okay. So now I'm just adding the highlights to each section of the braid, and I'll play with the contrast of, you know, the hair itself, the base color with the highlights that I'm adding to it. I feel like this part of rendering braids is so satisfying because the markings that you're making are so simple, but when you zoom out and actually see it all together, it just comes together so nicely. Now I'm gonna just use an airbrush here. See what a difference that makes? Like, all I'm really doing is adding a darker value to like the seam of the braid, like where we did that hatching pattern. But when you zoom out, it just looks so much more realistic. I think that looks pretty good. If I do say so myself. If I do say so myself. Now, I want to see what these highlights look like if I bump them up a little bit. Oh, that's pretty with the color dodge. I might could get with that color dodge. Yeah, I think I'm going to stick to the color dodge. And come back to my lighten brush. And just bump up the highlights down here a little bit. Because they seem to be lacking. I like that a lot. Now, should I give her like some gold thread woven throughout her hair? Don't forget to hit the like button, guys, and show some love. Thank you, She Walks in Beauty. And check out the description box for links to the deck. Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you for hanging out with me. Oh my gosh, is it really after 2? Oh, I said I was going to stop at 2:30, and it's like every time I look at the time, I'm like, I'm not ready to stop yet. Okay. Her braids look really good, though. Alright, let me see. So where I left off with her... I don't know if I showed you guys the stages of this drawing. Well, I know I showed you in, like, the replay. Let's see, let's turn all this off. So this was the rough sketch or concept that I kind of came into this canvas with. This is once I started putting some color down. Play with the different values in the front versus the back. And I decided to stick with that one. Now she has a little bit of a face. We got some lines going on. And that's pretty much like where I had left off. And this is where we are now. So I'm going to add that by 3 fingers swiping down to bring up my copy and paste menu. And right here it says copy all. So that's going to copy whatever is showing on your canvas at that time. And I'm going to select that top image that was the most recent one done there. Swipe down again with 3 fingers and hit paste. And then it's going to make a new layer on top of the one I had selected with everything that I had copied from the canvas before. So I like to do that just because then I have like the evolution of the piece that I can easily, you know, sort of access at any given moment, and they're all grouped together. So I like that. Okay. I can give some texture to the grass. I'm trying to decide something that I can work on for 25 minutes and not get so engrossed and pulled into that I lose my sense of time again. I'm gonna come back up to her crown and play with that. Right now it's just kind of a sketch layer. I used my clean gouache brush by Maxi Lynchney to just throw down a shape. But let's kind of play with that and see what we can add to this circlet. I keep calling it a circlet, so I'm gonna stick with that. Those look very natural as far as like that color combination. I kind of want to bring some of the red from this Queen of Pentacles into mine. She's wearing a red dress with like a green veil kind of hanging behind her. I'm not doing the veil. But what if I play with that red in some way? What do we think of that? Obviously, it's very flat, but yes to the gold thread. Excellent. So I can add that to her hair. Alright, I'm gonna jump back to her hair. Make this another clipping mask. And for that, I'm gonna switch to my studio pen. And boom, boom.
roller skates.
You found your roller skates?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I like it that they're purple and blue because those are some of my favorite colors. Like purple and green because I like every color of the rainbow, including the shades, except for a certain shade of dark green. It reminds me of throw up.
Oh, okay. Well, baby, just so you know, I'm live on YouTube and Instagram. You're fine. All right, I think I like that thread. I'm gonna duplicate this, and on the duplication, I'm gonna add some noise to the thread. I highly doubt it'll even like show up, but it's not really making much of a difference, but I like having noise in there. Ooh, that's pretty. That's like rainbow sparkles or something. I think I'm gonna leave it like that. Yeah, I don't know why, but I really like that. So yeah, I like that a lot. Okay, and I'm getting way ahead of myself, like way ahead of myself, but because I'm loving the thread in her hair, I'm gonna add a little bit of flare to show that shining. And I might even make the flare a little bit red since the thread is like rainbow colored in her hair. I might make the flare, is what I meant to say, a little bit red to bring some more of that like red into the composition, but we shall see. I don't know. I don't like that at all. I don't know, because it's kind of similar to what I did for the Six of Scepters. Let's see, how many hours have I put in here? I clocked 8 yesterday. Got 10 hours, 6 minutes. I've got like 15 minutes left and I don't want to stop streaming. See, she's got gold thread in her hair. And I did put the little flares there, but they're tiny. So maybe I'll do something like that. Me no know. I'm still very proud of how she turned out. Alright, so we need something closer to white. I feel like that's a little too, like it's too intense. But I kind of like it at a lower opacity, so. I don't know, but I like that. Okay, so for the last little bit of the stream, What am I going to work on? Let's just see what that looks like. I think that's cool looking. Let's see what happens if we unclip it. Ah, because that is on top. Unclip that. There we go. Okay. I like that. It's very pretty, but I'm losing contrast though. But you know what? It'll come back. The contrast will come back when I start adding the highlight that she's sitting in. When I start adding that to her skin, I think the contrast will come back. Hopefully. That's the hope. Because right now her skin is almost like her hair in particular is like the same value as the shadow of the tree. So she's just kind of getting lost there. I kind of like the red jewels hanging from her crown. What do you guys think? That's one way to add more contrast. And I think that skin color would actually be quite pretty. Ooh, decisions. Me no no. Me no no. And now I just kind of want to color her skin because, gosh, that would be really, really pretty. I would need to darken her hair, but man, that'd be pretty. I think I might go with the darker skin. I don't know. I don't know. We shall see. Because I think that color's very, very pretty. I think I might need to like take a food break and like eat something because my decision making is not where it needs to be, and my baby lady wants to go outside. So I think I may end the stream here for today. Let's look at our progress. That's a lot of changes to go from this to that. I do really love the rendering of the tree right now. And now we've added more grass and we've darkened her skin. I don't know. I think that this card looks really, really rich. I haven't fully decided on the final skin tone, but I've got time to do that. Let's see. Put in about 2 hours and 15 minutes from where I was yesterday. So I feel pretty good about that. I think to like satisfy my curiosity, I'm gonna play with a lip color for her, and then I'm gonna call it a day. So let's just see what these lips would look like. I think I like that. Yeah. I think I like that. Okay. Yeah, now her lips kind of make me think about the flowers. All right, I'm going to go ahead and end the stream here today. For some reason, Instagram was acting crazy most of the time, so if anyone joined the YouTube stream from the Instagram stream, thank you for hanging out with me, and I do apologize for the technical difficulties. Tomorrow, that Afro Drip Tarot's Kickstarter campaign goes live at 7 a.m., so go ahead and follow the pre-launch page, and definitely keep an eye on like my Twitter and my Instagram and stuff tomorrow, because I'm sure it'll be a crazy day for me and I will keep you guys updated. Thank you to everybody who has supported the project so far, who's been hanging out with me in the live streams, and I will see you all in the next one. Bye.